Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Ushanka Show Live, celebrating 87,000 subscribers. Recently was hardly any new subscribers coming. Actually, a couple of days I lost quite a few subscribers. I guess some people didn't like my posts about Prigozhin and situation in with Russia and Ukraine. So, at any rate, right now it's 87, so it's pretty cool. We got 13,000 more to go to get to 100,000. And according to my calculations, uh, the way the channel was growing a couple months ago, I was hoping by the end of this year we'll reach 100,000. Now it's about 3 more years because only about 300 subscribers, new subscribers, come into the channel every month. So, well, we got 13,000 divided by 300. That's a long time, a long way to go. So, we got some people joining. Misha Bear, hello. TT was first to say hello. So, yeah, if you guys have any questions, any comments, please join the conversation. We'll probably do about half an hour to an hour. So, if you have any questions, anything you want to talk about it, please do. Right now, I'm working on my next video. I already got the audio done. So we'll be talking about Soviet retail again. David writes that he's shown my show to several of his friends and they got hooked. Well, it sounds good. The question, how long does it take to get mail to your mom in Ukraine? It's actually, if you send regular letter, it's not too bad, maybe about 10 days. It's a little bit longer since the war. But if you send uh, like a parcel package, then it's really expensive. So I found a way to send it through New York. There's a Ukrainian company that provides shipping services. So they collect parcels in the United States, they put in a container and ship it. So it's way cheaper than do United Postal Service, but it takes longer. Okay. A random dude says Sergey needs to do more videos on Soviet soda machines to hit 100,000 subscribers. Well, that's the problem with YouTube. I see what videos get the views, and it's pretty much, it's like I I guess I could beat around the bush and talking about the same topic from different angles, but there's so much more to talk about it and tell you guys. So I made a decision. It's not a big deal. It's nice the channel is growing. It's great that you guys learning a lot of things. I like to read your comments that people went to college to study Russian history, but they never learn about soda machines, never learn about single use, not the single use, but the community cups. So I'm happy that I can teach you something, share my knowledge, because I'm just lucky that I remember. I'm one of those guys. There's a term for it that remember a lot. I don't remember what happened last week, but I remember what happened when I was 4 or 5 years old. I still got pretty vivid memories from that. And we got the first donation and a question from Tested Trekkie. Thank you so much. Congratulations. Is there anything that you miss about living in Ukraine versus USA? Well, first of all, of course, my parents. I mean, it would be nice to have them nearby. Although, for my wife, it's kind of, when you don't have close in laws, then it's sometimes can be convenient. Some grocery items, I guess, some foods. I like some of my mom's cooking, although my wife is a great cook. She's an American, but she already in our first we met on a blind date back in, my goodness, in 1998 in the fall. And on the very first date, she asked me questions. She said, "Do I like borscht?" If you don't know what borscht it is, I have a video about it. It's kind of like a soup, like a vegetable red beet soup with beets. And I was so shocked that the American woman knows what borscht is. So yeah, she does great cooking, but there's some stuff that my mom makes. It's I guess what I miss. Otherwise, I guess I Americanized already so much that for a while I really missed Ukraine and talking to friends and speaking my native language happened to be Russian. But right now, when I go home, go back to Kiev, go to Ukraine, in about 10 days, 2 weeks, I feel like I'm ready to go back to Michigan. So it's switched now. So I'm more American, I guess, than Ukrainian in that regards. So yeah, it's I like this lifestyle better now. We got people from Kansas, Chicago, our neighbors. I'm about 90 miles from Chicago, Boston here. Do you think RFK Jr. is a Russian asset? Well, he's definitely talking like one. So, I mean, I won't be surprised. Those guys are pretty good. So, do you plan to, on your third book? The first two books were excellent. So, if you don't know what's going on, this is my very first book, American Diaries 1995. It's pretty much my experience coming to America for the very first time. It's available on my site, sputnikov.com, and also Amazon. And that's my second book, American Diaries 1996. So there's one way you can support my work is by buying my books. This one actually got bigger than the first one. Yes, I'm working right now on the third book, 1997. It'll be 4 total, and then probably if I'll get brave enough, I'll try to write the book Born in the USSR and just pretty much all the stories that you listen here on the Ushanka show. I'll try to kind of package it in a book. So I'll be working on that. So, okay. I got the West Virginia Panhandle. There's a comment from Misha Bear. I still laugh at Khrushchev, and Cherry Cola machine. I don't know if you watched that video. It may be a joke, maybe not, but it was American soda dispenser, automatic one, and this it was automatically determining if you're female or male, and depending on females get cherry pop and male got just like a Coca-Cola or something. So because Nikita Khrushchev always wore those really wide pants, it looked like a skirt for the censor. So censor was constantly giving Nikita cherry Coke, and he was all getting butthurt. So that's funny. Yeah, I forgot about that. Borscht destroyed kidneys. Well, I beg to differ. I don't think so. There's an interesting comment from John Blair. To a historian, you're what is called a primary source, an eyewitness to the history being studied. Well, thank you so much. Well, to other people, I'm a traitor and anti-Soviet hater, and to other people, I'm a commie that works on the KGB mission here in the United States. So yeah, this is a hilarious part about doing this channel is I got so much slapping from both sides, far left and far right. There's so much raw, pure hate because some people come to my channel and they want to hear about paradise, and other people come and they want to hear about hell and they don't get that information, so they're getting really upset. So yeah, that is funny. Okay, we got another donation from Joel Atterbury. Thank you so much, man. Keep on keeping. Tucson, I almost said Tucson. Tucson, Arizona, 109 in the shade. Yeah, this is one of the reasons I don't want to move any more south than Southwest Michigan. I already learned, when you live in Michigan, you use your hand to show where you live. And I live right here, so I'm not far from Chicago. And we got only 33 likes and 72 people watching. So if you just joined, please don't forget to like it. Maybe it will help YouTube to notice. Okay, what else we got here for your questions? Actually, just recently there was a comment. I'll just read you. Sometimes I'm missing. Sometimes people they've been sarcastic, but it's so that I don't recognize sarcasm. Well, the latest comment, and it's the video about bicycles, right? Soviet bicycles. Leo Matrix. No matter how many times he tries, it's me, I guess. Everybody know that almighty Soviet Union was the best country to ever exist. Wonder when people will realize that he is working for some agency. And this is a video about Soviet bicycles. How people get this stuff out of, okay, I don't know how many of you noticed something anti-Soviet propaganda in a video about bicycles, but he good. All right, moving along. Congratulations on the sub milestone. I love your channel, the way you explain things. Thank you, Wade. The question by Ukrainian, Russian alike, like Spanish and Portuguese as a language. Yes, there's a lot of similar words. Every Ukrainian understands Russian, but not every Russian understands Ukrainian. Ukrainian word language is kind of more, I don't know, say Western. There's more words that the Russian language doesn't have. But if any Russian will move to Ukraine and stay for about 3 months, they'll start picking up and recognizing easily what's going on. So yeah, it's pretty close. Russian, Belarusian, and Ukrainian languages, these three Slavic languages, they are pretty close. Although there are some drastic differences, I'm planning actually to talk about it on my Russian YouTube channel because a lot of right now is the war. Russians claim that Ukrainian language is fake, that it was never existed, it was invented in like 1900s or something, or 1800s. But funny fact, if you look at the months of the year, right? So I'll run you for the Russian. So I'll say English, Russian, Ukrainian, right? So you got January, Yanvar. So like a copy paste from January, Yanvar. And then we got Sichень, Ukrainian word. So February, Fevral, Lutый. And Lutый means like angry. So it's a cold month, like it's a cold, angry winds. March, Mart. Once again, Russian word, just copy paste from English or Latin, whatever that came months. Berezень. So every month, Russian language is copy paste from English even. At the same time, Ukrainian has a unique old style Slavic names for the every month. We got a very generous donation from Jan Miller, $50. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Great and interesting videos. I appreciate your support. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like my stories. Oh, by the way, one of my subscribers sent me, you might recognize this book. So he read this book and he said that, he sent it to me. So it's my second copy. So if any of you guys want to read paper copy of Black on Red, send me email at sergeysputnikov@gmail. And we will do like a exchange club or something. I'll mail you the book. It's $5 will be shipping. And then after you're done reading, you can ship it back to me and I'll send to somebody else. If people will be interested, we can send it back and forth. Forgot unfortunately the name, but yeah, I got a second copy. I know some people don't want to pay $80 or $100 on Amazon. So yeah, I have an extra copy now available, Black and Red by Robert Robinson. So send me email at sergeysputnikov@gmail.com, SERGEI Sputnikov, just like here you go. So just one word, sergeysputnikov@gmail. So I'll make a list. I don't know how many people be interested. I have somebody wanted to get the book, but he lives in South Africa and shipping is just insane expensive. So all right, we got that out of the way. John Wayne Cheeseburger, yeah, it's another beautiful comment that became a meme. Ushanka show meme. Columbus, Ohio, in the house. Thank you. There is a comment from Liam. Hi, Sergey. I'm sure you'll hit 100,000 sooner than that. Have you considered approaching someone like Jake Bro to collaborate on something regarding Ukrainian conflict? You have a valuable perspective. No, there's one thing I don't do. Maybe it's a mistake. I don't approach people. If they approach me, sure, I will talk. I will do collaborations like what happened with Cold War Channel. They actually sent me a message and they asked if I'm interested to travel to Canada and they'll pay my expenses, like gas and hotel, to do a couple videos with them, and it's actually worked out great for both sides. So yeah, I don't chase other bloggers. If somebody is interested to make a collaboration with me or some kind of joint video, I'm always open for that. So if you want to send them a message, if you know them, I don't watch a lot of YouTube myself. I'm busy doing making content. So sure, but yeah, I said it's great. It would be nice. I'm a numbers guy, so 100,000 is like really appealing and alluring. But it is what it is. There was a point when it was 3,000 new subscribers a month. So I was like, yeah, we're gonna be there soon, and now it's collapsed to 300. And it's summer, I understand. Said I don't worry about it. People have things to do in the summer. They're busy. There's vacation, mowing grass, so usually traffic drops. So all right, so we got people cheering John Wayne Cheeseburger. We got Los Angeles. Great show on books. Thank you so much. Let's see. We got another question. Do Americans or Soviets have more common sense? There's a lot of things that I liked in the Soviet Union. Like and I describe it in my book. I was really shocked when I came to America first time, 95, and I listened to the kids who had at the summer camp where I worked. They had like in the evening, there'll be there's a fire pit and like a little area when everyone gathers, and they'll have conversation like kids will tell what they want to do when they grow up. And I grew up, in the late 70s. I went to school in 1978 at the age of 7. We all wanted to be like cosmonauts, doctors, engineers, firefighters, stuff like that. And these kids at camp, okay, it was a kids, inner city kids from Chicago, so that's a little bit different situation there. They want to be rap stars, they want to be basketball players, they want to be comedians, movie stars, and I was truly shocked because it was like totally different culture. This whole idea what they want to do. I was like, wow. I bet now it's all changed in Ukraine and Russia, but that was one of the shocks. So, well, the Soviets had more common sense because they were more poor. At some point, you kind of more practical person. But if you look how the America doing comparing how the Soviet Union end up, so I guess maybe Americans do have more common sense. And you guys have a lot of more stress in your life because we didn't need to elect our president every 4 years and vote every 2 years. You got the primaries, then you got the main election. In Soviet Russia, if there's election, there's a one candidate. That's it. So, like in that regards, there was no fighting, no left, right. Anyone that didn't agree with the government was going to prison or gulag labor camp. So, in that regards, was way less stress to live in the Soviet Union. But it's like, I'm being sarcastic. We got donation again from Tested Treke. Thank you so much. So sad because many Russians and Ukrainians are related from Soviet time. Let's hope Putin gets everything he so richly deserved. Well, if someone will tell me back in the 80s that, hey, in 40 years there'll be a big war between Russia and Ukraine, I would think they're crazy. It's insane what happened, but it's just this is what Russia wanted. There's a lot of people in Russia that support Putin. They okay with living in crappy conditions. They're okay without house, and as long as the newspaper tell them they live in the greatest country in the world, they're happy with that. So yeah, it's pretty wild. Have you read any of the Brezhnev's book? You're funny. Leonid Brezhnev, he didn't write a single book. He had a shadow writers, just like most, people at power and so on. So he had a big books, and of course, no one bothered to read those. He had Selena, so this is about when there was a big movement to. I know in Russian it's освоение целины, so there was this like lands, like steppes, that they decided if we plow them and we can plant the grain, and it'll be awesome. And then turned out to be it's too dry, basically just like what happened in the United States in the late 20s or in the 20s. Dust Bowl is exactly the same situation happened in Kazakhstan, but Brezhnev wrote a book about how they did that big project, and also about Malaya Zemlya, his great patriotic war experience. But yeah, it was a lot of butt kissing in that book. Okay, much respect to you, dude. Thank you so much. There's a comment. I want those bookshelves behind you. So no, this used to be a bedroom, but then when I have only one kid now in my house left. We had four, and we had two exchange students last year. This is from IKEA. They just buy them per section and they just put together. Yeah, it works great. You can change shelves. It actually goes all the way to the ceiling. All the way right there. So yeah, we love it. It's my wife does arrangements. She's really particular how the things look. So yeah, it's from IKEA. It's one of their best-selling bookshelves. Okay, so let's see what else we got. There's a question: who do you think actually is winning the war? I mean, I think it's obvious. On the one side, you have a country that has 1.5% of the world GDP. On the other side, there's the countries that have 50% of the world GDP. So Russia already lost the war. It's just a question of time when finally, or someone will remove Putin, or Putin dies, because he lost regardless. Because if he will just say, okay, call it quits, he'll be removed. He stays like Hitler in 1945. He will be removed too. Already first bell, first signal was sent, first crack appeared when Prigozhin had that little coup going on. And obviously Prigozhin on his own would never be so brave to do it, so brazen. I think it's the word brazen. So there's other people that were involved, but last second they or got scared. There's one of the generals disappeared, right? So it just Russia, Putin never planned. I'm gonna say Russia, Putin never planned long, prolonged wars. 500 days now. He was hoping for another Crimea style. They just roll in, minimal resistance, remove Ukrainian government, place their own government, and that's it. So there was never a plan for the big war. So now they basically running out of tanks, running out of people. So it's just unfortunately, I don't think there's a hope for this year yet, but yeah, it's the West that who's winning the war, by helping Ukraine. But Ukraine has the will to fight, because look what happened in Afghanistan. If people don't want to fight and die for their countries, you can give them best weapons in the world, and that's what happened. So congrats on the 87K. Is it true that you're a Soviet spy? Yeah. Soviet spies, they came to America when the Soviet Union existed. I came here first time 1995, when I was already a citizen of Ukraine. There's a question actually in Russian language, who invented, so during the Stalin regime, they had so-called troika, so there's three people. So instead of proper way, like you have a court, you have all that system. If somebody is guilty, to prove that he is guilty, there was just three people deciding on that, troika so-called. And that's how a lot of people got shot during Stalin's purges. I mean, who could invented that? I don't know. If it came before Stalin, that's probably was Lenin or Trotsky or Stalin, some of those guys. I'm not sure. What are your thoughts on cluster bombs? if they will help Ukraine to win, sure. I mean, Russia using them all the time in Ukraine. The Russia never signed agreement that they will, destroy all their cluster bombs. They use a lot of and I follow a lot of Russian Telegram channels, and they're like, yeah, it's sure, it's not good for Russia that Ukraine will give them the same treatment. So unfortunately, we're already moving that direction. We got a donation from Koala. Thank you so much. By the way, we're almost at the 100 likes, got 80. So if you guys just joined, don't forget to click that like. I'm not sure where's on your screen is like. So question from Koala. Thoughts about Evgeny Prigozhin securing a deal with FSB to run for the Russian election 2024, especially with Putin's weakened grip on power? I honestly have no idea, but I believe Prigozhin will die. There's or Putin will die or Prigozhin will die, because Putin will never forgive betrayal, being stabbed in the back like that. So Prigozhin already has a black mark. I guess he has a really powerful friends, because apparently he just showed up in Leningrad recently, or something already happened to Putin, but definitely, I mean, he had a pretty good support in Rostov, and he took over Rostov down in southern Ukraine, southern Russia. Maybe one day it'll be southern Ukraine. So yeah, I don't know. I never heard anything about running for election, but definitely he has ambitions. He has money, and the main thing that came up with this coup is they all admitted that Wagner was always sponsored by Russian government, because for years there was, oh, we don't know what, it's just a private company that does their own business. We have no idea what's going on. And now Putin announced, like, oh yeah, we paid billions to this company and billions to Prigozhin. So it's at least that lie finally, got revealed. So we got Slava Ukraine from Finland. Thank you so much. Would you support reestablishment of the USSR? I mean, would I want to step on the same rake for the second time? I mean, Soviet Union collapsed for the reason. It just, the socialism, it's ideal system for ideal people. If you can get enough ideal people, you can probably make it work. Otherwise, it will end up. I mean, if you look at any socialist country that tried socialism, they all failed. I mean, what we have left, Cuba and North Korea, right? And they're not doing that hot. And China, they abandoned the whole concept of socialism. It's just a state capitalism with the Communist Party, which is communist in name only. They just run in the country like a giant corporation. So yeah, I don't think it's possible or makes any sense. We got donation from Miller. You guys are feeling generous tonight. I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Unfortunately, since invasion, many Ukrainians had to leave. Some female DJs appeared on YouTube. They're true music house DJs. I don't follow them, but yeah, I mean, the situation is extremely ugly. And I said, it's once in time when I just sit back and think about it. It's incredible, just crazy what happened, because I actually lost quite a few of my close friends, like one Dima from Belarus. We like childhood friends, and he support Putin. We when the war started, I sent him a message, and he basically replied, this is what you deserve. And I was like, all right, I'm done with you. And a couple other guys that I don't talk anymore, because same thing, they watched enough Russian TV to, I was like, did you ever travel to, Ukraine? Because I do, and I speak Russian, and no one even tried to do anything to me or say it to me. So this whole conversation that it's illegal to speak Russian in Ukraine, I was like, it's just lie. It's a complete propaganda lie. There is a question from Mystical Stab Artist. Can you see Chicago on a good day across Lake Michigan? I need to be on the Lake Michigan and climb on the dune. We have Warren Dunes here, State Park, and it's you can see it. I mean, if you have a little good zoom camera, you could see it. I have some pictures. You could see little sticks. I mean, it's not Chicago, just downtown. It's like a little tiny sticks on the horizon. Yeah. So I have a pictures I did. James Varela, donation and congratulations. Thank you so much. We got another congratulations and $5 donation from Koala. Happy 5 days early birthday, comrade Sergey. Can't wait to see channel reach 100,000 subscribers. Thank you. So yeah, my birthday is coming up. It's a Bastille Day, so you can check your knowledge if you know what is Bastille Day, but it's my birthday. Oh, if you read my books, I mentioned because yeah, that's pretty much I was coming to America every summer, so just I started kind of celebrating my birthdays in the United States. We got YY, Sergey, привет. So looks like some Russian speaking people join us. Can you cover luxury bikes like bikes with multiple gears? I won't call them luxury, but my latest video today, I don't know if you watched it, Douglas. It's about tourist bikes. It's one of those I had. I mean, I can make it a little bit more detailed if there's enough interest about my tourist. But it had 3 gears, I think, if I remember correctly, and the gear switch was on the frame, so you kind of need to reach down and switch gears. So it's a little bit inconvenient, but that's kind of old fashioned. I won't call it luxury. It was just for people who do long distance traveling. The question from David: would you rather live in Chicago? Heck no, 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 no. I really love it here. I never liked Kiev much. I'm not a big cities. I grew up there. It just live in a tiny apartment. Always crowds, always, especially now, like rush hours. When I grew up in Kiev, we didn't have rush hours, so like it was okay moving around using public transportation. Now, it's only subway or so-called скоростной tramway. We have a tram system that kind of it's not right on the street; it's gated, like in Chicago Metro. So otherwise, if you use a bus or anything like that, it's so slow. I like to go to Chicago in the fall and visit, stay there over the weekend with kids or with my wife. But no, I prefer this lifestyle. All the conveniences of big city, air conditioning, central air, hot shower. But then I have a garden. I have a nice view, and neighbors. I mean, somewhat close. So yeah, there's no way. No, I don't want to live in a big city anymore ever. Davis Campbell, great channel. Keep up your good work. Thank you so much. Carlton Road, Dexter, always love your videos and wanted to ask you how's the weather in Michigan comparing to Ukraine? Good question. Well, it's all about geography, right? So Michigan, I live right here, and I think it's like a 40th parallel. Well, Kiev is like up here, the 45th parallel, and then my village in Chernihiv region is even higher. So definitely climate was not as hot. There's no humidity, first of all, not as hot, and then winters. So you can grow peaches. Like here I live, it's also a so-called fruit belt. So people grow cherries, peaches, grapes. I mean, it's amazing in my opinion. You couldn't grow peaches in Kiev or even further north. So it's way more hot here and more humid. But now climate is changing because I go to Ukraine and like I don't want to go there in the summer. It's way too hot. I don't remember ever such a hot days. It's crazy. Like they started growing corn in the part of the northern Ukraine. Before that, the growing season was too short for the corn to be ripe, so they just grew corn for the animal feed. And now they grow corn and they send it to China. Similar like in Canada, there was article that Canadian farmers started growing corn because the growing season just added, I don't know, 1 week, and now they're good about. So I wish there was less humidity here, but I like to be in Michigan. I don't want to go any more south. I still enjoy winters, and I like changing seasons and colors and all that. So all right, what else we got here? Question again about languages. No, Belarusian language is quite different. It's almost like a mixture of Ukrainian and Russian. A lot of words, uh, like we say in Russian, часы и минуты, so it's hours and minutes. In Ukrainian, it's година та хвилина. In Belarusian, it's gadzina и minuta. So minuta like Russian word, gadzina like Ukrainian word. Belarusian is quite different. I can read it. It's actually, I find it really funny. So we got a comment from Guardian Gypsy. Thank you for great content, and hi from UK. I'm glad you're still awake. Thank you so much for joining tonight. In your opinion, would you say a lot of Ukrainians have a great sense of humor? It seems very similar to English humor, a lot of sarcasm. Well, our sense of humor was different before. It definitely changed. And with internet, now it's kind of memes and all that stuff. It's definitely changing. So like I always had a hard time telling jokes, Russian era jokes here in America, because I just don't do punchline, and it just always falls flat 90% of the time. So I mean, they do have sense of humor, but I don't know how to call it. We have actually the whole group of jokes. We're trying to joke English style, like British style, and it's like this really dry humor. Just like you don't change your face expression. So yeah, wow, we have 132 people watching and 130 likes. It's like first time ever. It's almost matching the numbers. Okay, so next one from Baso Balalaika. Best Soviet item I have is a Kiev camera, which I have to Kiev 19. Somewhere here. Oh yeah, it's actually a present from United Kingdom from Svetlana, one of my longtime viewers. Oh yeah. Yep. This I came every summer. I came to take pictures of this camera just like that. And that's another interesting thing about cameras. I was the poorest guy. I think I said that before. I was the poorest guy at camp, right? Because I came, from Ukraine. Everyone else, like from England, from New Zealand, Ireland. So they doing okay. They all had cheap plastics, cameras, and they did such a crappy photos. And there's me, a guy who makes $20 a month as an engineer in Ukraine, and I have this like heavy duty good camera. Like my pictures were so much better. I was like, man, it's all about priorities. They'll spend easily $50 a night to drink in the bar, while I will be at the farm picking apples for $5 an hour. Just a different lifestyle. It's pretty crazy. So yeah, the boss mentioned that he has a Kiev was superior until I got Canon. Well, yeah. Let's see what else we have. Just sometimes comments jump, so there's a comment from Marco Litviak. So sounds like he may be Ukrainian or Ukrainian origin. The first Slavonic grammar text was of Ukrainian, published in 17th century. So yeah, it's said the whole kind of the origins of when they call it Rus. That was the Kiev Rus. It's now Kiev. That was kind of like the center of the Slavic country. Then because of the location and the Tatars, it was kind of constantly started fading away, and then Moscow started rising because they were further north and in the forest, so they were away from Tatars' raids. So this is what I remember from the history, what was going on. So yeah, right now we have 87,200 subscriptions so far. My first video about bikes, for some reason, once again, took off pretty good. It's almost 12,000 views, and I added quite a few subscribers, so that's pretty good. Like I said, that's a really good comment from Jackie. All languages were invented. That's true. It's true. What do you think of Vlad Wexler? I have no thoughts about him because I don't watch him. I see sometimes showing up in my views, but I don't watch him. There's a comment in the wink wink joke. Sergey, your work is greatly appreciated. So I wonder how many of you get this joke, but this is in my book, American Diaries 1995. So when I work at the farm after the camp, the farmer, classic American farmer, he pays you $5, makes you work worth 15 or 20. So every Monday night we went to Amish people, which is down below us. Michigan is Indiana, northern Indiana. There's a lot of Amish, and he had a contact. So every second grade fruits that he couldn't sell at his farm market, we'll take down to Amish. So I was hanging out with Amish people for a long time. It was another great experience that I was talking about my book. And I worked already all day at the farm, and then we go down south, and I look like, oh man, I'm making another, because it's about an hour drive there, unload, come back. So another 5 hours of work. So I'm like, man, I'm making additional $50. I already worked 10 hours and now I'm working another five. So I was so excited. And then next day, farmer was telling me several times like how much he appreciates us going down to Indiana last night. And I got suspicious. I was like, I work for Herb every single day here. He never says that he appreciates. But suddenly he's so appreciative of our going that turned out to be that he couldn't afford to pay us. So that was a free labor just for the Burger King sandwich. So I started hating the word appreciated because it's for me it means that you working for nothing, but you being appreciated. Okay, moving again. I love your collaboration with Cold War channel. Hopefully more people reach out to you. Yeah, it's actually I was surprised when I did this little survey. By the way, if you participated in that survey, thank you so much. It was like over 3,000 votes. I was shocked. I didn't expect so many replies. So thank you so much. And a lot of people mentioned Cold War channel. I didn't realize that so many people came from there, but I periodically I come back and I reply to comments because there is still a lot of comments there. So yeah, thank you. That was a nice surprise to learn that trip was well worth it. It was a great experience to talk to David and hanging out with those guys. But yeah, it was good times. So the question: will your second book be available in audiobook like first one? Well, most people said they want my voice, so I'm hoping because first book is actually it's a Google artificial intelligence voice, so it's not mine. It did a pretty good job. But it's one of my projects. I maybe need to take a break from making videos and just try to record audio and make an audiobook. So I'm hoping to do that because I believe I sold 2 audiobooks so far. It's just that people want my seductive, sexy accent in the audiobook, not the cold, soulless robot voice. Uh, will Ukraine survive after the war? I believe so. Germany survived and Germany lost. Ukraine gonna win. So I don't think it's gonna be a long recovery process. But a lot of it, all the cities that Putin erased. I mean, they'll be nicer, better cities because all the Soviet era ugly buildings disappeared. So now they can make the new beautiful cities. So I think they'll be doing fine. What question? What Cold War video were you in? I was actually we had interview kind of like conversation, so it wasn't like it's six. I think total of 6 videos on the Cold War channel. I'm not sure how to help you to find them, but there's one about cars, one about education. So if you go on their channel and kind of scroll through, you'll see there'll be a word interview or collaboration. I don't remember. It was like 2 or 3 years ago now. Congrats, Sergey. Found your channel several years back when you covered Chernobyl. Yeah, Chernobyl video. And that one back in the day, man, that was a lot of views and it's a lot of subscribers, and they got me first time very excited because it pulled the whole channel. Like, it people who found my video and they liked it, they went like into the gold, I would say gold mine, and they started watching other videos. So yeah, that video really did a good job. Now it's barely moving a lot. Okay. July 7 marked the 40th anniversary of Samantha Smith traveling to Moscow. I'm surprised you haven't done a video on her. I was thinking about it. It just constantly kind of comes up on my radar and then disappears. It was definitely a big deal. Yeah, that was an interesting situation. Yeah, a little girl from America comes to Soviet Union. That was pretty cool. Too bad she died too early, I think, right? Would you like to spend your retirement in Ukraine? Yes and no. My wife definitely, doesn't want to spend time in Ukraine. She would prefer somewhere in Europe. I probably would. Like, I really like the place where my mom lives in northern Ukraine. Of course, now, with the war, I don't know when the next time I'll be available to go to the forest and pick mushrooms. Um, the main problem with retiring Ukraine is like you need to watch your stuff. Like in that village, it's nice and everything else. The housing is cheap, uh, good location, everything. But there's the people who, in America they call them crackheads. In Ukraine, there's just alcoholics, and they just wander around the village looking for what to steal. So you can't even leave your house unsupervised because they break in and steal stuff. So it's main reason why I wouldn't feel secure and safe there for that reason. 'Cause, oh, the guy came from America. Let's break in and see what he got. So depleted uranium cowboy. Congratulations on the 87K. Thank you so much. My goodness, almost an hour. All right, so there's the people commenting they wanted to become a locomotive driver. That's a good thing. Yeah, it's interesting that I said I was shocked that people just want to be in entertainment, nothing else. Do you like Zelensky? Personally, I don't like him, but I like what he does for his country. He definitely surprised everyone how he behaved. Um, all this during this war. That's a lot of it takes a lot of courage and a lot of balls. I mean, a lot of it. I made a video about him. If you want to go through my channel, I mean, he's a professional actor. He has a professional crew because he doesn't have to wear fatigues and all that military attire to be unshaved, but he does it. It just works with the image because every good president needs to be also a good actor, and he is a really good actor. But he does a fantastic job for his country right now, like Winston Churchill did for Britain. I don't know if he's gonna do good after war is over, but right now he's the guy for the job. Another reminder, please don't forget. I wonder if we can hit 200 likes. Be interesting. Okay, moving along. Pushkin and Dostoevsky. Definitely Pushkin. Dostoevsky is such a depressing, hard to read books. I tried it in school when we had to read them, and I don't want to touch him again. What happened to your relatives in Ukraine during the war? Well, my parents are in their 70s. My father lives in Kiev, and my mom in the northern Ukraine. They're fine, and my brother, he got some medical exemption. I think, I'm not sure what he has, but anyways, they don't want him in the military service, so they're fine. What were the TV channels during Soviet Union? I have a video about it. We had 3 channels, and at 9 o'clock at night there was the same news program on every channel. Программа Время. I had a video about that. If the uprising was successful, who would be taking Putin's place? Well, Putin's. Well, Prigozhin probably the temporary guy, and then probably someone that who was behind the Prigozhin. It wasn't really uprising; it was just a coup. Something didn't work. I'm not sure what was the plan, but something last second was canceled. Someone mentioned that Putin's goons got the Prigozhin's daughter, and basically he had ultimatum. You know, your daughter can jump out of the window on the 11th floor if you continue doing what you're doing. So Okay, next question. Do you think it's only a matter of time before the chef, so Prigozhin, disappears for good? It's quite possible. There'll be some accident, he will die. Do you think Russian soda cup will work today's America? I honestly, looking back, I don't understand why it didn't bother me. Like it's so weird that you kissing the whole neighborhood. That little spray, cold spray that you use, but it's just part of the culture. There were some people who couldn't do it, but never bothered me. You just think script and drink it. So yeah, it's pretty wild. Okay, moving along. Have you compared quality Ushanka hats made in Soviet Union, made in China? No, uh, I have one hat that we bought in Ukraine, but I never, had anything made in China in that regards. But probably, this out of Soviet Union, they still made Soviet Union style, so I would say it will be probably lasting longer, but I don't know. A random question: what Soviet cinema do you recommend? Do you watch Shurik at the time? It depends on what you like, but yeah, that's kind of good comedies. Is the Brilliantova Ruka, so the Diamond Arm. It's a good comedy if you like comedies. Shurik, yeah, there's a couple of them. Приключения, Adventures of the Shurik. If you want to kind of light-hearted comedies, definitely there's something to watch. Right now, actually, I'm watching. I don't know if you guys want me to make a video. There is a five episode science fiction series called The Guest from the Future, and it's kind of like more like a children's science fiction. But back in 1983, I think it was 83 or 85. My goodness, whole country was watching. Every kid was watching that show, and I was considering maybe if there's enough interest, we could do like I'll do live and I'll be translating the show and pausing and talk about it while you guys, because of the copyrights, I can't show that movie on my channel, but I can provide you the link. We'll all start together watching, and then we'll be just kind of watching movie, and I'll be translating. And then we'll say, okay, pause, and I can explain things because there's so much stuff which is like, wow, you know, be interesting. So if you think it's kind of good idea, we can look at that option. What were your thoughts on the Soviet TV? Soviet TV was great in that regards that it was nothing for kids to watch during the daytime. So I was a so-called latchkey kid, right? So I had a little rope, and like my key, apartment key, was in my neck. That's how every kid was. Because you come home from school, your parents still at work. Both parents work. So in America, well, now we have internet, but before, if the kid comes home, he will sit down and start watching TV, watching cartoons, right? Well, in Soviet Union, kids just went outside to play because it was literally there'll be a ballet or some theater, or some singing. So there was really little and nothing to watch on TV. So kids were outside playing. So that was the best benefit of the Soviet TV, was nothing to watch. So you didn't have to force kids to go outside. I mean, if you're nerd, you might sit and read the book like I did a lot of times. But otherwise, everyone went outside. No one was sitting home watching TV because it was literally nothing to watch. Okay, next question. Well, there are times in Soviet Union when children were kept at camps. Well, we had so-called pioneer camps, pionierские лагеря, summer camps. So that's where the kids will go for the whole month. If you buy putevka, like a travel uh, package, travel ticket, then you can send your kid to pioneer camp. The coolest one was in Crimea, called Artek. The question, should I buy old Moskvich? No. If you want to buy Soviet era car, buy Zhiguli. It's way more reliable. Moskvich was always unreliable car. Vietnam is going fine and they're fine. Well, Vietnam is just like China. They're not socialist anymore. I used to work in the furniture business, and the amount of Vietnamese furniture we have coming, it's state-run capitalism there. There is no more socialism. Socialism is there's no means of productions in private hands, and there's plenty of those right now in Vietnam. All those shoes from Vietnam, It's not state companies. Do you think China will be next superpower in future? Quite possible, depending if America will figure out what to do with China. But it cycles. Used to have Portugal, then you had Spain, right? At some point, it was Netherlands, Holland for a while. Then UK was empire, a superpower for a while. Then United States took over after the pretty much World War One, and then World War Two finished off UK. So it's how it cycles through. If you quit manufacturing things at home, at some point, other country will take over, and especially China. They have a huge potential, but they started having probably population issues since the one kid policy. So we'll see. Okay, next question. Any simple books to read while learning Russian? Huh. It depends what you like, honestly. I got plenty of Russian books here. I'm trying to think what to. You want to read Trotsky? That'll be a good one. I don't know if you like science fiction. This is a pretty good book. Alexei Tolstoy, almost Aelita, Hyperboloid Engineer Garina. This is like 19. I think he wrote it in 1920s. It's good story. It's not complicated. I would say it's a good read right here. So that will be something to maybe consider if it's available. It should be available online. It's an older book. I could recommend my book in Russian language, but it's not easy. I use a lot of slang because I have first I wrote it in Russian, then I translated it in English. So okay, let's see what else we got. Congrats on 87K. Thank you. Wild question. When you have been US citizen long enough, 7 years, do you think you would serve in Congress? Well, Arnold Schwarzenegger was the governor of California. I became a citizen of the United States in 2008. So I'm qualified. Never thought about going into politics. And I don't think I'll be a successful politician because just like I'm not a successful YouTuber. I don't, you need to pick a side, right? And I just do what I consider is right. And, I piss off a lot of people on both sides. So I don't know. But definitely, I guess I'm qualified. I never thought about doing anything like that. And it's like I was telling people, one of the reasons I don't think I could ever be successful back home in Ukraine, I'm just too honest. So it could be another problem with running for Congress. But it's an interesting suggestion. Thank you, Hans. It's actually interesting. It's made me smile. I live near Chicago and I don't like to be there. There's a Faith visiting brother in Chicago. I said, I don't mind visiting Chicago. There's a grocery stores and stuff like that I can buy some food from home. So there is a the question about Prigozhin. The question in Russian: do you think he's a servant of the dictator or its boss? I don't know. I honestly, I don't follow that close. It's definitely one of those cases when, oh, what is that? Frankenstein, that situation. Putin created Prigozhin. Now Prigozhin, that's when your creature starts pretty much devouring. I think it's the word devouring you. So that's the situation with Prigozhin. At some point, you think you're bigger and stronger, and of course, Putin lost a lot of points after all these mistakes and lies he did. Uh, okay, we gotta catch up with some donations. Tony donated some money and had a question. Sergey, do you think Prigozhin is still alive? As far as I know, I don't know if Putin's still alive because there's a conversation. There's his doubles or triples are working and he's dead for a while. So yeah, honestly, I don't know. I mean, I try to follow, but definitely he has a death sentence on his shoulder because Putin, if he never forgives betrayals. There's a Dev. Thank you so much for your donation. Any memories and thoughts on the Soviet cartoonist Yuri Nornstein, Francesca Yerbuzova, who created Tale of Tales and Hedgehog in the Fog from the 70s? I mean, I remember the cartoons. Definitely, Hedgehog in the Fog is kind of funky. Really funky cartoon. Definitely not my favorite. I like way better. Once Upon a Time There Was a Dog. I like that one better. I liked, of course, No Pagadi better. I don't know about them, their names, but it was definitely a strange cartoon. Just a little bit depressing. I like more positive. Being a kid, I like more positive cartoons. All right, let's see if anybody else. I think I caught up with all you guys. Okay, so we got about an hour, so I'll do a couple more questions. I'll be wrapping up here. Difference between Russian and Serbian languages, probably similar to difference between Russian and Ukrainian. I have sometimes comments from people from like former Yugoslavia, Serbia and stuff, and they say there's a lot of words that match Russian words, Ukrainian words, and their words. Have you been to my country, Portugal? Any thoughts of it? No, unfortunately, I never been in Portugal. I was in Spain. I have a pen friend that corresponds since, boy, early 90s. Margarida, she lives in Lisbon. Never had a chance to travel, but it would be nice. Looks like a nice country to visit, but never had a chance. Other question: how's Ukraine doing with the economy now that many people left the country? How the citizens are going to their jobs, working from home? If you look at the population density, if you compare Ukraine and Russia, Ukraine is still doing great. It's the size of the Texas. I'm not sure what the population of the Texas. Let's look it up. I got curious now. Texas population. Boom. All right, so Texas population is about 29.5 million. Ukraine population, I believe, is like 42 million. So size the same. So, do you have concerns that Texas doesn't have enough people to do the job? I don't think there's a problem in Ukraine. It definitely population was going down for a long time. I'm one of the reasons why it was. A lot of people immigrated. But I don't think there's a concern. If you look at the Russia, when they have a largest country in the world with population of Bangladesh, 130 million, that's what the problem with the population. I don't think Ukraine generally has a population problem. And now with the introduction of Western technologies like agriculture, machinery, a lot of population has actually become an extra because they don't need that many hands. There's less and less manual labor in the agriculture field, so people move into the cities. So definitely trend is not good, especially war, but there's still more than enough people in Ukraine, so I won't worry about that. So the comment from Captain Lazarus: so Ukraine weather like Port Huron, Michigan. Well, northern Ukraine, it's a pine trees, a lot of birch trees. You can pick mushrooms July, August, September, October. So yeah, it's colder weather. Definitely didn't have temperatures. Summer it usually used to be in 70s. Sometimes in 80s. Now it's changed a lot. What is the oldest part of Russia? Not sure what you mean, the oldest part of Russia. And what is Russia? Technically, Russia doesn't exist. There's a Russian Federation. There's this wild. It's almost like Irish cap. There's a wild patches of all these nations and countries that Moscow occupied over the centuries. So originally, like the Slavic center was in Kiev, which is 1500 years old, give or take. It's when the Kiev was organized. So this is kind of when it started moving. But if you're talking geography-wise, Lake Baikal is one of the oldest lakes in the world and deepest lake in the world. Another question again, Shelby is asking from Maine, asking about cluster bombs. I mean, Russia treating Ukrainians with cluster bombs every day, so I don't see a problem with that. Do you keep in touch with Russian friends since all this stuff? I stay in touch with a couple friends. They also anti-war, anti-Putin. But yeah, otherwise, most of my friends in Ukraine, actually, one of my cousins is pro-Russian. He lives in Kiev, and I was like, dude, what's wrong with you? So yeah, it's if you watch enough Russian television, they can, their propaganda is really good. All right, guys, so I'll do the last question and I'll be wrapping up. So, what was learning English like to you? How old you were? Did the most of your peers learn English with you? Once again, I talk about in my book. I started studying English in school in the fourth grade, as everyone starts studying foreign language. We used to study German. Then, when the main enemy became United States, everyone started studying English. So from the fourth grade, you have one or two classes a week of English, but I hardly had any. Then I learned on my own. I describe in my book when I realized when Soviet Union collapsed and Ukraine became independent, I'm like, well, maybe there'll be foreign companies coming to the country. And if I get my degree in electrical engineering and English language, I can get a decent job. So that's pretty much, I started studying by myself. I started corresponding with different people all over the world, like pen pals. But that was like learning how to drive a stick car using manual. Only when I came to American exchange program, that's when I started learning. It will help me greatly to learn. So, all right. So, okay, guys. So I'm losing my voice. I think make sure I don't miss anybody with donation. I think. Okay. So there's another donation. I have to answer that one. Cole is asking, do you dream in multiple languages? It's pretty wild. I could sometimes have dreams in Russian. I don't have dreams in Ukrainian because Russian, my first language, that's how I was raised in Ukraine back then. So yeah, sometimes it can be crazy. Okay, I quickly tell you. So I remember when. So when I go to work, I carpool with the guy who lives nearby. His name is Art. He's an American, and we go early in the morning to work, right? So I have this dream that I get in the car, but in my dream, I'm in Kiev, right in my Barshagovka area, with all these tall 9-story buildings. But I get in the car and I start driving, and it's my turn to pick up Art at his place, and I'm driving, and I realize that I don't know how to get to Art. So I'm trying to think. I know where he lives. I take road and then I take dirt road, and that's his place. But I'm thinking about I'm in Kiev, right? So I'm kind of drive around a little bit, and I was just like, I cannot understand where's that road. The Gar road takes me to his place. So in the end, I start panicking. I get out the car, and I start running between the buildings while looking how to get to Art. You know, And then phone rings in my dream still, and that's Art. And he's like, "Where you at? We gotta go." And I was like, "Dude, I don't understand. I can't, So my brain is trying to combine two realities, one Kiev and one Michigan, and it was glitching. It's like, and I end up waking up like horrified. I think it was my day off, fortunately. And I sit up upright, and I was like, "Oh my god, oh my god." And I couldn't understand why I was so scared. And then it dawned on me, it's my brain breaker tripped, literally. It was working so hard trying to combine two parallel realities that don't combine. So it was trying to find a way from Kiev around and get to Michigan. And my goodness, it was the scariest dream that I had. But otherwise, yeah, I even don't think about it. Sometimes I use, uh, in my brain, I use both languages. I can think in English or Russian. Sometimes it's a mess, but it is what it is. No, Art doesn't. I don't know. Art spoke English in his dream. Yeah, but that was the wildest, craziest dream. Like that really scared me. And a long time ago back, I think I told you about this in my first book. I had a dream when I was still in Ukraine. I think I was like a kid, still going to school. So in my dream, I'm in an American supermarket. So I'm all hyped up. I'm loading up on jeans and all the chewing gum. Then I go to checkout and I give her rubles, and she refuses to take rubles. And we had this ugly conversation. I was so upset because I'm like loaded with the good stuff, and I'm like screaming at her, "This is the money too!" And she's like, "Nope, no rubles." And yeah, I woke up upset. So that was kind of two crazy dreams I had. One long time ago about America, and then one here that I'm trying to like get things together. So, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I appreciate it. So, 87,000 subscribers. Hopefully, we'll hit 88 pretty soon, and we'll be another live. So, if you know anybody who may be interested, tell them about my channel. I had somebody commented that his sister from Spain told him about my channel. He liked it, subscribed. So, anyways, once again, thank you so much for joining, and I hope I'll see you soon another live celebrating 88,000. So, good night, спокойной ночи.